All right, welcome to Classification Living Things. This is chapter 18. But what we're going to be doing today, though, we're really going to be kind of just talking about classification things. We've already started this, so it should go pretty smoothly, I hope. So let me kind of move through this. When we talk about classification, we need to talk about this term, biodiversity. It's really important that you have an understanding of biodiversity because that's really what we're going to be talking about in this whole idea of what a species is. And then I'm going to underline this is because a species has to be able to breed with each other, and that's an important part of this concept here. Let me just kind of clear my screen there. So biologists, we've identified and named over 1.5 million species so far. However, we estimate that there's between 2 and 100 million species yet to be discovered. So why do we classify it? We classify because it identifies and names organisms, and we try to group organisms into a logical manner. And as you can see down here, we've got the 5 kingdoms which we no longer use. I'm going to try to underline that. This would be the bacteria, this is the protist, this is the fungi, plant, and then animal. However, we really don't talk about those anymore. We actually go to 6 kingdoms, or we talk about domains. So taxonomy, again, this is a branch of biology that names and groups organisms, and so I'm going to underline that. You definitely need to know that vocab word. So we've got different groups here. We've got these are what's unique is that these are all animals. However, as we remember in class, animal. When we classify things, we try to break them up into different groups. And so I would definitely put the butterfly by itself, and then maybe the crocodile by itself, and then the chicken by itself, because the other ones, the bull, the camel, the cat, the cheetah, and the cow are all mammals, but the rest of the ones are different, so we'll talk about that. Naming and organizing animals into groups with biological significance helps make sense. Birds, an animal with feathers. A good classification system places organisms in groups with other organisms that are similar. So again, if we look here, we've got the fish all by itself, birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, we got plants, and then we got insects. So really, we could see some kind of common relationship between the two, but we're going to learn how they're much different. So, good classification system uses names that are unique, can change as new data is discovered, and shows relationships of organisms. First person, again, you definitely need to know this guy. You definitely need to know Aristotle. We talked about him a little bit on Friday because he's really important when we talk about classification. So Aristotle's system, he based his on a couple different, he based it on plants and animals. So we had 2 major groups. The plants were soft stem, woody stem, one woody stem, and then the animals were air, land, and water. However, as we know, that's probably not the best way to do it. Common names can vary. Example, puma, catamount, mountain lion, cougar, all are names for the same animal. By using a universally accepted scientific name, though, we can show we're discussing the same organism. Common names vary. There's a chipmunk, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce those other names there, but common names can be misleading. For example, a jellyfish is not a fish, but a seahorse is a fish, but it's really not a horse. So sea cucumber sounds like a plant, but it's really an animal. And so these names can be really misleading. So that's why we got to have a way to do it. Common names can be misleading. United Kingdom, a buzzard refers to a hawk, whereas in the United States, a buzzard refers to a vulture. If we look at these, there's some differences there. If you look at that buzzard there, as we notice, doesn't have any of the nice feathers on its head. Let me try to draw some of those. Whereas this hawk does have some nice feathers. So they look alike, but they're really different. By mid-century, most scientists recognize that using common names is confusing, and so now we use Latin and Greek. Many say that we use these is because we really don't want to say Latin and Greek are dead languages, but they don't change as often as the other ones do. Example, red oak, Quercus folius obtuse senatus cetaceo mucornitis, oak with deeply divided leaves with deep blunt lobes bearing hair-like bristles. The problem, the names are too hard and too long to remember. And then also different scientists describe different characteristics. So again, this became a problem trying to name these things. So here's Carlos Linnaeus. You need to know this guy, Carlos Linnaeus here. Very important name. He came to rescue. He was a Swedish botanist, devised a new classification system, and it is still used today. So we still use the Linnaeus system of classification. So when we talk about Linnaeus, we talk about the taxons, and then we have this another important term, binomial nomenclature. So if we divide this, bi means two, nomial means name. So it's two names, and nomenclature just refers to the fact that we're naming it. So here's animal, and so you guys may remember this from middle school, but we go kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So you're going to have to know that in order. And then actually we can even talk about this new thing called a domain, which is kind of brand new. Well, not brand new, but it's been around for a while. But you should be able to go from kingdom down to species. So kids prefer cheese over fried green spinach. I sometimes use kings play chess on fine glass stools. It really doesn't matter which one you pick. Sometimes, though, botanists will use this term division. But and then we can put domain, again, I'm up here. So, domain. All right, kingdom, this is for our lions. So here's the lion, common name. We go Animalia, chordata, meaning it has a backbone. It's a mammal, carnivora, based on what it eats. Its family is Felidae. Panthera leo. Now, if you notice something, these two are underlined. You always underline the genus and species. Underline, underline, underline. We'll talk about why here in a little bit. Binomial nomenclature. And so this will be a great short answer question. So when we're talking about binomial nomenclature, put a little star next to this, we've got the genus name, which is always capitalized. We've got the species name, which is always lowercase, and then we underline or italics with both names. So for example, our scientific name is Homo sapien. Homo sapien. As you can see here, capitalized, lowercase. Genus, group of order of closely related species. For example, genus Ursus includes many kinds of bears. So we've got Ursus arctos, Ursus maritimus, Ursus americanus. They all share a similar genus, but different species. So it's unique to each kind of those bears. Humans, there's Homo sapien. Modern evolutionary classification is what we're going to pick up later, but I just wanted to make sure that we kind of got this. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.